The book of the prophet Zechariah, another one of his very mysterious oracles, and we will have one final reading next Sunday from this book, and then for the remainder of the summer we will return to the New Testament, and I will share with you, we will explore different passages from the letters of the Apostle Paul. So let us hear these words of the prophet Zechariah. Mysterious words. And again, I looked up and saw 4 chariots coming out from between 2 mountains, mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, the second chariot black horses, the third chariot white horses, and the fourth chariot dappled gray horses. Then I said to the angel who talked with me, "What are these, my Lord?" The angel answered me, "These are the 4 winds of heaven going out after presenting themselves before the Lord of all the earth. The chariot with the black horses goes toward the north country, the white ones go toward the west country, and the dappled ones go toward the south country." When the steeds came out, they were impatient to get off and patrol the earth. And he said, "Go, patrol the earth." So they patrolled the earth. And then he cried out to me, "Lo, those who go toward the north country have set my spirit at rest in the north country." I'm sure you remember the very opening of the Bible, the book of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. Do you remember the next part? God looked over this vast chaos and nothingness, and what did God do? God breathed, and there was this mighty wind that came from God, and it blew over that chaos and that nothingness. And from that wind that God breathed, everything came into being. The heavens and the earth, the oceans and the land, creatures that crawled upon the earth, creatures in the water, and winged creatures that flew through the air. God breathed, and that breath of God came and made all things new. That the breath of God, the Spirit of God, is powerful and wondrous and so creative. That is how the book of Genesis, the very first moment in our scriptures, that is how this story begins, and that is how it unfolds. The breath of God makes all things new. Now, in this mysterious vision of the prophet Zechariah, we have seen that something new is going to happen upon the earth. That Israel, in this time of crisis, in which everything was broken, everything seemed without hope, everything was destroyed and desolate, vision upon vision that we have seen over these last 3 Sundays, vision upon vision spoke of a time when God was going to make all things new. Now this vision, mysterious as it is, has something very much in common with the book of Genesis. These chariots that Zechariah sees, these chariots that are sent to the 4 corners of the earth, what do these chariots carry, or what moves them? Zechariah sees that it is the wind. They are carrying and moving this wind as they patrol the earth. The wind that these chariots carry, the wind that lifts these chariots aloft as they go to the 4 corners of the earth, that wind is the very same wind that God breathed upon the earth at the beginning of time. And So this oracle, mysterious and confusing as it may seem at first glance, really is nothing more than the retelling of this creation story. If God at the beginning of time looked over this vast nothingness and saw chaos, God similarly looks over the land of Israel and his broken people, this desolate land, and God, you might say, sees chaos once more. And if God breathed that spirit at the beginning of time, God promises to breathe that spirit again. And with the chariots carrying that wind across the earth, creation is going to happen once more. It's really a remarkable story. It is what is going to link us to the New Testament when we look at different readings from the letters of the Apostle Paul. There is this momentum within the Scriptures, a creative momentum, that again and again God is creating and recreating. Sometimes people feel that the moment of creation happened once, that it happened in the book of Genesis, and that creation was finished, and then the earth just unfolded from there. The reality is that the living God creates time and time again. Moment by moment, really. The fact that we are here. The fact that we are enjoying this life. The fact that we draw our own breath moment by moment reveals to us and should remind us that creation is happening within our lives, that creation is continuing to unfold as we exhale and as we inhale. Creation is continuing to unfold when we produce acts of compassion. Creation is continuing to unfold when we share this good news with our neighbor. Creation is continuing to unfold when we carry light into darkness. Creation is continuing to unfold when in our own darkness and in our own brokenness, we discover that light of hope, that strength that we never thought we possessed. Creation is ongoing. The people of Israel are going to see that, as Zechariah prophesies. They are going to see that when the temple is rebuilt. They are going to see that when their land is restored. And as we move to the New Testament, the world is going to see this moment of creation when the Apostle Paul describes Jesus as the new Adam, the second Adam, the one who is going to restore all things. The spirit of life, that spirit of wonder, that spirit that is both gentle and powerful at the very same time, is moving still. I say that the spirit of life is gentle and yet powerful. Think of a creative moment. Perhaps if you are going to sing, perhaps if you are going to write, perhaps if you are going to teach, or any of the other kinds of things that we might do creatively within our lives. We know that every act of creation, there is a gentle component to it as we plan our actions, as we dive deep within our imaginations. There is something tender and gentle that happens within the imagination of the soul. But there is something very powerful at the same time. That which we consider, that which then comes forth, has tremendous power to it. We reflect then that Spirit of God because we have been fashioned in and through that Spirit of God. So, we may ask ourselves, we ask this question all of the time, and it's such a very, very important question. If the Spirit of God moved at the beginning of time, if the Spirit of God moved through the land of Israel and made all things new, if the Spirit of God transformed Saul into Paul, where is the Spirit of God moving today? Where is the Spirit of God? Where can that Spirit of God be found? If I say to you, and I make this bold claim that the Spirit of God is that breath of God that is moving still, where do we see that Spirit of God deep within our hearts? Once, when I was in seminary and I was trying to discern my path, which direction I was going to move as I was in the process of my studies, I spoke about this with my advisor. And I said to him, I'm not quite sure which path, which direction I should pursue. I feel torn. And my advisor said to me, well, if you look deep within yourself, he said, something is going to come up within you. Something is going to come up and you will say, this is the path that I'm going to choose. And I said to him, but how will I know that it's the right path? How will I know that God is leading me along that route? And my advisor said to me that in those moments, he said, that the Spirit of God and the human spirit come together so that God leads you in the path that you are considering. And so here I am today, all of these years later. In our lives, we always find ourselves at crossroads. Small crossroads, big crossroads. But our lives are always determined by the choices that we make, by the commitments that we make, by the words that we speak, by the vocations that we pursue, by the relationships which we foster. All of those moments are opportunities to experience the Spirit of God moving within you. When we stand at that crossroad, whatever it may be, and we wonder, should I go left or should I go right? We stand there and we consider it. And then something within us leads us to make a choice for the good. And so we say, I'm going to take this path because I believe this is true. My advisor would say, it is the Spirit of God moving, inspiring you to take that path. And he said to me further, if you want to know how the Spirit of God is moving still, every time you are standing at a crossroad and you choose what brings light and life, and you choose what brings love and compassion, every time you stand at a crossroad and you choose what will bring fulfillment for you and what will be a blessing for others, the Spirit of God is moving still. The Spirit of God is deep within your heart, moving you, inspiring you, kindling your imagination to take that step along a new path. And as David says in the 23rd Psalm most famously, when he asks God to place him on right paths for his name's sake, it is the Spirit of God that will kindle his imagination. It is the Spirit of God that will move him and inspire him to take that first step. I'd like to bring this reflection to a close by lifting up that idea of imagination within the spiritual life. Sometimes we consider the spiritual life just to be a series of cold, hard choices. And somehow the imaginative spirit of the human soul is set aside. But what I would suggest to you this morning is that imagination is at the very heart of the spiritual life. The heart, the soul, imagines what could be. The heart, the soul, imagines what could come next. And it is in that act of imagination, of thinking about the doors that might open, thinking about the words that we might speak, the songs that we might speak, the songs that we might sing, the things that we might write, the relationships that we might build. It is in that moment of imagination where we discover that intersection, that coming together of the human spirit and the Spirit of God. And so at that crossroad, when we are waiting and anticipating that choice to be made, consult your imagination. Allow your imaginative spirit to reflect upon what will be creative, what will bring light, what will bring truth, what will build a community, what will lift up our neighbor. Allow your imagination to reflect upon everything that might bring light in life. And it is when we consider in that way, it is when we take that moment to think imaginatively, to pray imaginatively, that the Spirit of God and the human spirit come together and we are inspired. And we then discern, this is the path. And then one foot after another, we take that path and we make that journey, guided by the Holy Spirit, with our own imagination kindled and brought to life, our own creative powers unleashed, the love within the human heart unfurled. That is when we know that the Spirit of God is moving still. Zechariah, when he speaks of these mysterious chariots going to the corners of the earth, it symbolizes that the Spirit of God is moving still and will make all things new. The movement of the Spirit that God breathed at the beginning of time, is the very same Spirit that transforms the human spirit and brings our imagination to life and moves us to unfurl, to unveil the creative powers deep within the human spirit, so that even in our lives we might see how all things may be made new. Amen.